I first received the knowledge of self, I was 12 years old in what they call in New York the 5% Nation. Okay? And then I went to different groups from there and evolved psychologically, spiritually, you know, been through certain things. However, coming into the Moore Science Temple, I have awakened certain international and lawful and legal aspects of my identity, okay, as being a Moor, and legally and lawfully in the process of strategically putting it in government, my nationality, that I am an indigenous, aboriginal, Moor.
That's right.
Okay, in North America, because if you say you're an American, then you got to ask somebody,
Exactly.
well, which America?
You from Venezuela?
The South,
That's right. That's
Central,
right.
or North America?
Exactly. Different states.
You see what I'm saying? So, you know, and then we get into the Incas,
Yes, sir.
and the word Amir in
Yeah.
Arabic. Amir and then Incas. America. A-M-E-R, if you change the E to an I, it's Amir, which is Prince. Leave. Then Inca, you know, because that's where we get the Mayans, the Aztecs, the Olmecs.
Right.
That's us.
That's right.
You know, it don't get nothing twisted now. They were, even Cortez
Yeah.
said they were dumb. So I just wanted to share, this is pretty much an evolutionary process for me being a Moor. However, I must, and I do declare, that there is no man on the planet, in my understanding, in my sense, ready, been doing it on the battlefield for a long time, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
That's right.
That's what's up.
That's true.
Now, you're a Moorish American, brother. They use the word black, but Elijah Muhammad's teaches it says Asiatic
That's right.
black man.
Yeah.
Noble Drew Ali
That's
mentioned the uplifting of fallen humanity. Elijah Muhammad said the resurrection of the dead.
Yes.
You see, so they all pointed to Marcus Garvey. Beef.
Yes.
The beef is that it's called deceptive intelligence. When you feel that your stuff is the right stuff and nobody else's stuff is the stuff.
Come on now.
It's just like, you know, buying some crack or something, or, you know, some dope.
That's right.
You know, is it good stuff? You know what I mean? But when we start studying the teachings of both these men, Elijah Muhammad and Noble Drew Ali, you start to see that, well, first of all, they was back in the 30s and 20s and in the 40s, and when Jim Crow was still on. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
That's right.
You know, you had Al Capone and all them, Lucky Luciano and Elliot Ness and
That's right.
I mean,
That's right.
Prohibition.
Yeah.
I mean, Prescott Bush, George Bush daddy, he was back there. You know, so we keep forgetting that the era of time then was a cause for these men to exist. Noble Drew Ali didn't even live long enough to write books.
Right.
And this is why the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America says that this pamphlet was published in 1927. There's a reason that the Moors are still going on, because there is a legal and lawful aspect of our freedoms that has not been awakened.
Right.
But yet there's no champion from the Moorish perspective to come up. So the Nation of Islam, if you take away the word black out of the Nation of Islam, you know, teaching not to take away from it,
Yeah.
but if you just replace the word black with Asiatic, more is coming.
Yes, you're right.
So those that watching this video, don't get it twisted. I love you, bub. You know, but the man on the scene today, for real, you know, Minister Farrakhan. Now you may not, you know, I mean, he, you know, where's the money in the Million Man March and da-da-da-da-da, but I mean, who has he killed?
Exactly.
I mean, who has he robbed? Who has he stolen? and,
That's
you know, he preaches hate, and, you know, well, preaching hate? Well, he ain't sent troops over there to the war.
Yeah.
He ain't
Yeah.
lie
Yeah,
and
right.
say that it was Saddam Hussein. Well, before it was Osama.
Right.
That's right. Uh-huh.
It was first Al-Qaeda.
Exactly.
From Al-Qaeda, this is just the word game. Al-Qaeda, from Al-Qaeda, it was terrorists. From terrorist insurgents, now it's a civil war. Well, Minister Farrakhan ain't never did none of that.
That's right.
Consistently, he's been saying.
That's right.
Consistently, he's been saying. And doing.
You're right.
Consistently. Okay, well, I mean, if the man is making money, well, damn. He has never revealed the poverty psychology
You're right.
that some of these places want you to reveal, or true faith is a poverty-stricken. No, the teaching says set yourself in heaven at once.
That's right.
At once, but you got to do it psychologically first.
Uh-huh.
So I just want to say that for those who may be watching this DVD. I'm a Moorish American, but I am not sleeping.
Exactly.
I got the teachings of Elijah Muhammad at 12, and I will never deviate. Now there may be some things I need to work on that I've read, and I haven't probably come to the understanding yet, and I pray to the Most High God understanding.
Yes, sir.
But I'll be daggone if I turn coat now. You know what I'm saying? When the civilization is going down, I'm a punk out. You know what I'm saying? What man do you know that's willing to stand up?
That's right.
What man? You know, so I just wanted to share that because, you know, you got a lot of Moors now, a lot of Moorish Americans that play a hating. But what you doing?
True.
You know? What?
That's right.
Where's your building? Where's your stuff? You know what I'm saying? Where's the brothers on the street with a pamphlet? How come Moors aren't wearing their pheasants
That's right.
out in the public?
That's right.
You know, crack that box. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just giving up a little steam, you know, but it's all love. It's all love. You know, but I just need to say that because lots of times, you know, for me, I love my family, you know, but for someone to say to me, April 15th or April 17th, I don't care what religion, I don't care what faith, you better have my money by 12 midnight.
Exactly.
And I've been paying taxes for a long time. And if I'm in an environment or a part of a group, fraternity or whatever, and it's not dealing with the collection or collective aspect of the human family, then I don't want to be in it. You can't tell me, Noble Drew Ali said, the purpose of the Moorish Science Temple of America is the uplifting of fallen humanity, but yet you're going to stay a little private club and nobody can get down with you. And everybody else is wrong, but you're right. Noble Drew Ali is one of the most powerful juristic persons on the planet. This land belongs to us.
That's right.
If you study the teachings of Noble Drew Ali, and if you study and you map out how he did the thing and went to Cuba and was accepted as a leader, how he did it, you will understand that this belongs to us, but if I can convince you, you came from across the sea. And you were brought over here.
Come on.
Then when you legally and lawfully try to claim the land,
That's right.
then you will be considered an alien according to the Constitution.
Yeah.
But if you claim that you are an indigenous, sovereign, aboriginal, native of this land, then you have claimed the land. Because it's about land grabbing right now.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's a land grab right now,
That's
y'all.
right.
It's a land grab.
You're right.
So if you study it, it says in the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple, and this is in chapter 47, Egypt, the capital empire of the Dominion of Africa. We are in West Africa, y'all, for real.
That's right.
We are in West Africa,
That's right.
or what they call a Mecca.
That's right.
Okay? There's a book called When Rocks Cry Out. by Horace Butler. They found mosques in Cuba, Puerto Rico, Mexico, mosques. All along Brazil, all over there. You know what I'm saying? All along there. You know, there was connection with Africa and the Americas. As a matter of fact, before this great cataclysmic event that separated the land masses, when the land was once one, they called it Pangea, it was all connected. America here was actually considered Atlantis. That's Homer, a Greek philosopher. Homer wrote about this land that was across this great sea. And there was an island in the middle. And on the other side of an island was a great civilization. And we were here. Along the Mississippi were the Mississippi Nile were nothing but pyramids, mound builders they call it, Washita. Down in Georgia. What is the symbol of New Orleans? Anybody know? The star and the crescent. When you watch the Katrina thing on the police vehicles, the star and the crescent upside down. Because New Orleans, that was us. All of that was part of us. We were here. Noble Ali had a strategic, legal, lawful aspect of understanding how the word game was played. And Persia, they changed to Iraq or Iran. In the book of Genesis, it talked about in the Garden of Eden was the Tigris and the Euphrates River. Well, where's that at but Iraq, where they fighting at now? That was the land of the Sumerians. The oldest recorded historic civilization ever. And they over there right now destroying all of the evidence of who we are, was, and forever shall be. So Noble Drew Ali was born in 1886, okay, in the state of North Carolina. It may not have been North Carolina state, but the state of mind that North Carolina was in. He was born in a state and time of mental servitude. He was a prophet in their midst. Because he was coming with the legal and lawful aspect of using the system to free yourself through the system. That's why the 13th Amendment and 14th and 15th Amendment has nothing to do with us. Abraham Lincoln ain't free nobody.
That's right.
He took what Abraham Lincoln did, right? He took the Negro from being a private property, and he took the Negro and moved the Negro more to the federal property of the United States government. And that's why your name is in all capital letters on your Social Security card and all ID. It's called your straw man. Look up on the internet how to reclaim your straw man. You'll see it. All of us are affected.
That's right. That's right.
Look up the rights, the universal rights of a child. And it will tell you, at birth, a child has the right to a nationality and the religion of nationality, a birthright, has a right.
That's right.
To a nationality and a birthright. This is international law. But someone named us Negroes, which in Latin means black.
That's right.
Then we was black, which means evil, wicked, and gruesome, and absence of light, and Then it was Afro, which is a hairstyle American. Then it's African American. And African American, well, which part of Africa you come from? Because it's like 52 now.
That's right.
In Africa, were you from Zimbabwe? Were you from Ethiopia? Were you, Nigeria? So, where's your identity? Does the African American have an embassy, a flag, a constitution? Do you have an ambassador? If you get any issues, can you go to D.C. to the African American embassy? No. So, it says here, chapter 47, Egypt, the capital empire and dominion of Africa. The inhabitants of Africa are descendants of the ancient Canaanites from the land of Canaan. Old man Cush and his family are the first inhabitants of Africa who came from the land of Canaan. His father, Ham, and his family were second. Then came the word Ethiopia, which means the demarcation line or dividing line of the dominion of Amexem, which is over there where supposedly it's right up there where Egypt, where the pyramids are. It says the dominion of Cush, northeast and southeast Africa, and northwest and southwest was his father's dominion of Africa. In later years, many of his brethren from Asia and the Holy Lands joined them. The Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit the northwest Africa. That's here, northwest Africa. They were the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire. See, the Moroccan Empire stretched all over and over here. It wasn't Morocco where they broke down, the colonials broke it down, because they had to break it down and break the names down.
Right.
See, Nigeria and Liberia, Ghana, all that was Songhai and Mali.
That's right.
They took it from Songhai and Mali and chopped it up.
That's right.
And then they chopped it up a little more. Then the dialect of the people was chopped up where they couldn't communicate anymore.
Right.
This thing is heavy, man. It's the same soup warmed up all over again. It says, with their Canaanite, Hittite, and Amorite brethren who sojourned from the land of Canaan seeking new homes. It says, according to all true and divine records of the human, there is no Negro, black, or colored race attached to the human family, because all the inhabitants of Africa were and are of the human race, descendants of the ancient Canaanite nation from the holy land of Canaan. Listen, what your ancient fathers were, you are today without doubt or contradiction. There is no one who is able to change man from his descendant nature of his forefathers unless his power extends beyond the great universal creator, Allah himself. Simple. That's what it's all about. Right now what's going on is the fact that this land don't belong to those who are occupying it now.
That's right. That's right.
What is the United States of America? It's a corporation. Washington, D.C. only. 10 miles by 10 miles. 10 miles square. That's the United States of America. Anything else outside of it is not United States of America Incorporated. Don't you know that they have what they call the Northern Alliance, the North NAFTA, North American Trade. They are building, they have and are already in the process of building a superhighway with 10 lanes from Canada straight down into the center of North America down to Mexico. Why do you think they ain't the borders? They're crying about the borders and they ain't trying to fix the borders. Because they already made a deal with Fox, the president of Mexico. They made a deal with Canada. They splitting it down the middle because America's gone, been bought out. in debt forever
That's right.
until somebody buys it. This is why she got to be removed. And this is why all the chaos is happening as a distraction for us, so we won't see the moves that they making.
Mm-hmm.
Check this out. What makes rain, hail, snow, and earthquakes?
Mm.
The earth is covered under water approximately 3/4 of its surface.
Mm-hmm.
The sun and moon have an attracting power on our planet while it travels at the terrific speed of 1,037 and 1/3 miles per hour on its way around the sun.
Mm.
The sun draws this water up into the earth's rotation, which is called gravitation, in a fine mist that the naked eye can hardly detect. As this mist ascends higher and increasing with other mists of water in different currents of atmosphere until she becomes heavier than gravitation. Then she distills back in the forms of drops of water or drops of ice, which depends on how heavy the mist was or the current of air she was in.
Mm.
There are some layers of current real cold and warm, and some very swift and changeable. When this mist strikes a cold current, it becomes solid ice in small round drops in form or a light fluffy form, which is called snow. But this water is never drawn above 6 miles of the earth's surface by the sun and moon. The reason it rains back on our planet is because the water cannot get out of the earth's atmosphere, with its high speed of rotating around the sun makes it impossible. Earthquakes is caused by the Son of Man experimenting with high explosives. In fact, all that above is caused by the Son of Man.
That's right.
It says the earth belongs, it says the earth is covered. Being covered relates to the covering of your brain within a body of water. Your brain sits within a body of water where electricity travels with ease. The 3/4, this equals 7. 3 plus 4 equals 7. 7 is the number of perfected man.
That's right.
Perfected man must pass through all the ways of life. Without a foe, a soldier never knows his or her strength. And thought must be developed by the exercise of strength. So this physical flesh, the material world, must be a battlefield that we must fight. Fight in the sense of overcoming the pull of gravitational energy on our auric body. After giving up our birthright, Jacob and Esau,
Right.
Pocahontas story, and our gratification of our lower self, we will regain our lost estate, our heritage, but it must be done in a conflict that cannot be told in words. What does this mean? Birthright, a privilege granted by someone of virtue, a privilege granted to someone by virtue of birth,
That's right.
a privilege granted to a firstborn. Well, you were firstborn
That's right.
on the planet.
That's right. That's
Well,
right.
Elijah Muhammad said
That's right.
66, 76 trillion
right.
years ago.
That's right.
We think caveman was there? Yeah, we was caveman? Oh. There's history that went beyond caveman. Caveman's only 6,000, about 6,000 years old.
Yes.
Kemet or Egypt was like 50,000 years old.
Indeed.
So who's the firstborn? So birthright is to the firstborn. It says lost, unable to find one's way, not won or used, no longer practice or possess, unable to function. Sound like us, huh? Helpless, absorbed, engrossed, estate, an extensive tract of land containing a large house, all of a person's possessions, especially those left after death, a stage or condition of life, heritage, property passed down by inheritance, something handed on from past generations, legacy, words, a meaningful speech, sound, or succession of speech sounds that can be represented by graphic symbols. This is why in Masonry, we what? We deal with signs and symbols.
That's right. That's right.
An argument, an assurance. This is what words is. An argument, an assurance, an order to do something. News. When you look at news, is NEWS, north, east, west, and south.
Right.
The square.
That's right. That's right. Exactly.
A password or watchword.
That's right.
The lyrics or a musical composition.
Mm-hmm.
To express orally or in writing. The sun and moon attracting power on our planet relates to the cosmic force that you and I operate when we are or are not cooperating with our natural ether plane.
Mm.
When we are operating with something we love to do, our consciousness naturally performs at its highest capacity because we are in cosmic balance with purpose, which is Ma'at, an ancient Kemetic teaching.
That's right.
Libra is a sign of the scales of justice. Justice is a reward or penalty. Justice represents the star, and freedom, or to free the dome, is the sun. The moon is equality because it reflects all of the freedom's light. Even though it is borrowed light, it does not catch an attitude of its reflection. When freedom, the sun, and equality, the moon, attracts the power of our consciousness, we automatically respond with justifiable action, depending on what state of consciousness that we are in. While we are traveling on this spaceship called Earth, the speed 1,037 and 1/3 adds up to 15. The letter 15 of the alphabet is O, a cipher, 360 degrees of free will, if we choose to use it. Our speed of evolution depends on our interplanetary speed. We can travel with this planet at 1,037 and 1/3 miles per hour, or we can go beyond that and travel at 24 billion miles per second, the speed of thought. We have the ability to time travel. Abraham time traveled when he went up a mountain. Moses went up a mountain. Jesus, Yeshua, was not only led up by the Spirit, which means astral projection, into the wilderness, he also went up a mountain and was transfigured.
That's right.
Well, what does mountain mean? Mountain means the highest state of consciousness.
That's right. That's right.
That's why when in the Ten Commandments with Charleston Heston, they showed Moses going up the mountain. When he came back, he looked white. He was transfigured. He was changed because he went up into higher states of elevated mind. It says Muhammad went up a mountain and had a spiritual experience. He too had an astral projective experience where in the hadiths, which are words of men, it says that he rode a animal-like creature called a burak. A burak. A burak is like an animal with wings, like a Pegasus or something. And basically, that animal flew him from Mecca to the Masjid Al-Aqsa, which is the Dome of the Rock, or Solomon's Temple, which back in Masonry is the soul of man. Solo man. Solo man. Solar or solar man. It says in Jerusalem, which in Latin, you take the J and pronounce it as H, you have Heru, Salat. Or a Y, because there's no J in the Hebrew language, not Yiddish language, you get Jerusalem from Yahweh, Yahshua. Okay? It says Enoch went up and was said that he walked with God. Elijah was taken up in a whirlwind. These references just mean that they were able to transcend, transmute, and transfigure their thoughts beyond 1,037 and 1/3 miles per hour, which equals 6, which is taught in some circles, limitation.
That's right.
The speed of the earth is by 6. However, man, which means mind, can go past physical limits, but past mental limits into cosmic infinity. Time never was when man was not. If life of man at any time began, a time will come when it will end. Man himself is neither the body nor the soul. He is a spirit and part of Allah. All thoughts of Allah are infinite. The thoughts of Allah are of the everlasting, are the everlasting days of the past unto the never-ending days to come. And so is man, spirit man. So freedom, the son of thought, draws water, wisdom, into your own rotation or conscious spin. It causes the law of gravitation or to occur. This energy is in a fine mist or in a fine element called ether. The naked eye can hardly detect it because the eye is naked. It has not yet been clothed with spiritual armor to protect it from other harmful elements or other states of consciousness. It is like wearing sunglasses with UV protection. The third eye is what I'm speaking about.
That's right. That's right.
See? It's in a fine mist that the naked eye can hardly detect. You see? See, the naked eye can't detect fine things because it's naked.
That's right. That's right.
But when you close that eye with the proper filtering, you can see the fine mist and detect it. When I was out there in the world and I was consuming poison,
That's right.
I couldn't get it. I knew I had something in it. I knew I was brought up a certain way, but it didn't click. But when I put the poison down, and I started researching and studying self, and like in the movie The Matrix, I started learning about certain powers that I had and
That's right.
floating and stuff. You know, my eyes started to be coated. It started to be filtered. And then I was able to see a phony Negro.
Come on. Come on.
Because it reflected back on the phoniness within self.
Yes.
Right.
So when my eye is naked, I'm blind.
That's right.
When my eye is closed and filtered, I'm able to see past the illusion of the world and the distraction therein.
That's right.
It says, are not your eyes the sentinels that watch for you? Yet how often are you unable to distinguish truth from error? Keep your soul in moderation. Teach yourself, teach your spirit to be attentive to its good. So shall be its ministers be always to you conveyances of truth. As your thought consciousness has missed, ascends higher and increases its substantive power with additional wisdom, meaning water, in different currents of atmosphere, meaning polarities, and atmosphere representing atmosphere meaning levels or states of mind. So when your consciousness as mist increases with wisdom, and you're in a different current of atmosphere or different polarity, your level or state of consciousness increases. And as you are increasing and still increasing the wisdom you possess, which is styled as she, because in the Bible, wisdom is she.
That's right. That's right.
That is what they call the yin polarity, or the yin and yang, the yin polarity. That is what is hidden. That is the hidden side of you. That's why men are more, what the hell, yeah. Women are more hidden. You know, that's why you understand y'all. You know, we understand y'all. Because the power of the woman is hidden. That's why in the Holy Quran it says about the woman in the womb. That's why Minister Farrakhan,
right.
through the teachings of Elijah Muhammad, taught that the woman is the laboratory of God.
Yes, sir.
The laboratory. This is the lab, man.
That's right. That's right.
In 9 months, you get thousands of years of evolution from a clot to a tadpole to something that looks like a reptile to a bird to an actual fetus, an actual baby. If you look at the birthing process, it's thousands of years of evolution in 9 months. Good God Almighty. It says, this wisdom, she distills to the earth. The word distill means to subject or to obtain by distillation, to separate from, to give off in drops. Going back to the earth can represent the relaying of information through thought coming from the unseen dimension onto the seen. They say the seen is governed by the unseen.
That's right.
When you study, read, experiment, analyze, without the release of that energy, you can overload. Go on a system, network shut down, a system crash. This is why it says different currents of atmosphere. Different currents of atmosphere causes you to apply, demonstrate, actuate, manifest, bring into fruition that in which you accumulate in the ethereal plane and is to be released down to the earthly plane. This is why the movie The Secret, ancient teaching. Jesus said, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he.
Right. That's right.
What? But to take that knowledge and use it for commercial purposes. But we know that when a certain species of mankind, when mankind uses anything coming from the natural man, it's not used in its proper form.
That's right.
They were killing witches back in the day because they were holistically healing the people, but the church wanted money from the sickness. Well, Rite Aid and CVS got a whole hour herbal and all this stuff, and they don't want us to call it holistic. It's alternative medicine. But they water it down to keep you coming back. That's why Narcotics Anonymous, they say keep coming back. More to be redeemed. I'm going to find out you were sick and I don't want you around. It says here, have you ever looked at clouds and saw a flatness underneath as if there was a law that cannot be broken? Like a glass ceiling that they cannot pass. Depending on the heaviness of accumulated water vapor, that particular cloud possesses, the level of height it reaches depends on its substance. Now think of yourself and at what level of consciousness you came from and where you are going and have you evolved to. There is a law of gravitation that you cannot pass unless it meets the requirements of that. You cannot pass unless it meets the requirements of that particular level of law. Basically, it's saying you ain't going nowhere unless you meet the requirements of the level. That's why in certain circles, you can't come through the door unless you knock a certain way.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
See, Jesus started off as what? Not Christ.
That's right.
He was the Messiah.
That's right.
The one anointed.
Right.
Then he went from the carpenter's son, Jesus of Galilee, Nazareth. So all these names that describe the master were the different evolutionary processes that people saw him as. Some saw him as, oh, that's just a carpenter's son. Hey, Jesus,
How you doing? Yeah, the carpenter's son. Yeah, nice kid. Yeah, his mother and everything. You know. So when he went to Galilee,
Mm-hmm.
they saw him as Jesus of Galilee.
Right.
Then Jesus of Nazareth.
That's right.
Then, like you said, he asked Peter, well, Peter, who do you say I am?
That's right.
Well, Peter said, well, thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God.
Mm.
Well, he never said it. Peter said it. Jesus told one person
Yeah.
who he was.
Mm-hmm.
We told two. He told Peter, I'm the light,
That's right.
you know. But he told Martha,
Mm-hmm.
Lazarus' sister, the only female in the Bible that Jesus told who was.
Mm.
He told her, I am the resurrection and the life.
That's right.
He who
Right.
believes in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live.
Yes, sir.
And he who believes in me and do the work shall have everlasting life.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Two different processes.
Uh-huh.
Believing and working.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So, you know, we got to get that straight.
True.
You know, so I want to share with you, is dealing with gravitation. And it says, you know, in order for you to reach your highest heights, the highest heights are gained by those who reach the greatest of depths. This is also true in negative sense. When we negate our mission and assignment and amalgamate with the Willie Lynch, Stockholm Syndrome, or Philistinic mentality, metaphysically, a Philistine is a stranger or an adversary against the spiritual powers of God or against God consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
A Philistine.
Yeah.
That was what Samson was fighting.
That's right.
Philistine.
That's right.
Because Samson has great strength with God. The Philistines wanted to take his power. They were foreigners to it, couldn't understand it. That's why some folks don't, you know, I don't know, is he a Muslim or more? I don't know what this dude is. So because I stand firm
Yes, sir.
of my belief system,
Mhm.
which is no belief.
That's right.
My belief is no belief.
Exactly.
Be, and you are.
Mm.
This is also true. You know, that we tend to, Stockholm Syndrome is when in Stockholm, Sweden, there was some hijackers, or there were some men that kidnapped, and the people that were kidnapped after a while started developing feelings for the people that held them captive. They started loving their oppressor. They really cared about them. So then when the keeper of the guard
That's right. That's right.
comes back
Mm-hmm.
and utterly destroys
Mm-hmm.
that person or people,
That's
what
right.
do? We fight our own to protect our oppressor.
That's right.
It says, in the forms of drops of water or drops of ice, can regard the way your thought processing gathers fluid-like flexibility, where you can interact with other people, places, and things in a way that is also and so universal that it is hard to find any oppression.
Mm-hmm.
It can also relate to the emotions forming thought patterns which causes a person to cry.
That's right.
It says, but this water is never drawn above 6 miles of the earth's surface by the sun and moon.
True.
Emotions can represent here water. Emotion is energy in motion. This energy is invisible, yet it manifests in the physical. You can see the expression of someone's face, their disposition. You can sense the atmosphere or the ether that there is something not right with this person.
That's right.
You can feel your body react or respond to something or someone due to energy in motion. Well, just like the water of the planet Earth, its water cannot rise above or be drawn 6 miles. 6 can represent limitation. It also can represent balance. In Arabic, they call it the mizan.
Mm-hmm.
3 degrees on the physical side and 3 degrees on the spiritual side. The gravitational pull the sun has on our planet, with the moon acting as a ground wire, so the lakes and rivers and oceans do not exceed their limits, is very essential to the mizan, the balance of things. The sun gives off direct light while the moon reflects sunlight it's giving off. This is borrowed light. Both moon and sun act as earthly advisors, each regulating its own individual affair, yet conjoined by an invisible law. Your emotions have a limitation as well. Emotions reach a certain height before it burns the E out of the word emotion. So when your emotions leave a certain level, it burns the E out and leaves the motion. So that's when someone gets to the point where he's going to hit somebody or she's going to strike out at somebody.
That's right.
Because the emotions hit a certain level. Now, sisters, y'all know y'all can cut a brother like a knife. Y'all know that. And y'all know some brothers got those issues and you pull them right out of them.
Yep.
His emotions get so great that he's ready to strike you because he killed the energy. It like burned itself out. So all's left is taking a striking motion because he's not able to balance the mizan. He's not able to balance off. It says, this is when physical action occurs. The ceiling in which it cannot pass, that dividing line between divinity and matter. It's caught weighing other than yourself.
True.
It says the reason it rains back on our planet is because it cannot get out of the Earth's atmosphere, the water. When its high speed of rotating around the sun makes it impossible. When we deal with consciousness, you must understand that rain is coming down. Rain coming down represents your thoughts, ideas, and patterns that were not able to rise higher due to limitation of its own density. Earthly thoughts cannot rise higher than spiritually lifted thoughts. The Earth's sphere is its protected environment. Whenever something comes into the Earth's atmosphere, it begins a purification process. If the object begins to burn as it ascends through the atmosphere, just the opposite substances leaving the atmosphere must pass in invisible law. If the substance does not pass the force and power to go against the invisible law, it is forced by gravity to come back down. Why? The high speed of rotating causes the gravity already prevalent to pull the substances closer to its core. This is why when you see a man or woman vibrating at terrific speed, their aura attracts those who cross their frequency. What I mean is, unlike attract, a like repel. It is impossible, listen carefully, I'm closing. It is impossible to avoid any gravitational pull that vibrates on your frequency. When I was out there in the world, and I had some money in my pocket, and a girl with a big butt smile came by, she was gravitating on my frequency. I'm just keeping it real.
Keeping it real. That's right.
You know, it says earthquakes is caused by the Son of Man experimenting with high explosives. In fact, all that above is caused by the Son of Man. Earthquakes can represent headaches, migraine, mental pressure, which manifest outwardly as reactionary actions with negative results. These convulsions lie within you and surface as conditions of your atmosphere, meaning your mind, as your mind changes. High explosives can relate to the proper use of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. When you hear a deep sermon, a lecture, or a speech that hits you where you are at or on what level you are on, it creates an elated feeling of euphoric proportions or a depressive low frequency that causes slothfulness.
That's right.
You know, because sometimes when we rocking some real high frequency,
Yeah.
See, what's happening to the planet right now is there's some high frequencies going on.
That's right.
The people are angry, but at the same time, there's people elevated. The consciousness of the planet is changing. Just like that movie, they say, The Day After Tomorrow. Right now, the electromagnetic power of the North Pole is starting to shift with the South Pole. They tell you in the movie. Because there is going to be a new Earth.
Oh, yes, it is.
Going to be. Already.
That's
I
right.
wanted to share with you, I'll pass this around. This is from Associated Press. This is a 330-foot deep sinkhole in Guatemala. Guatemala, I think it's Venezuela or somewhere, Guatemala, Central America. Okay, this is a 330-foot deep sinkhole. Now we know that there is, can you pass that, brother?
Yeah.
There is 5,280 feet in a mile. 330 is about what? A third? A fourth? A third of a mile. Almost half. This is a bizarre hexagon spotted on Saturn. It is a huge six-sided feature. And this was 2 decades ago, 20 years ago. It is a hexagon at the North Pole of Saturn, 15,000 miles,
Let's go.
1 in 5 is 6, 15,000 miles across, nearly 4 Earths fit inside it. It extends about 60 miles down into the clouds. Now this is a picture of it here. That's about Saturn. See, there's stuff going on a more intergalactic level. Okay? There's stuff going on. Now, this is the South Pole of Mars. The South Pole of Mars, it says, a freaky storm, this is what they call it. The diameter of the Earth, and unlike anything ever seen, has been spotted on Saturn. It says the Tempest, some 5,000 miles wide, has an oddly human-looking hurricane-like eye.
Right.
But it is very different from a terrestrial hurricane. Okay? There we go. It soars up to 20 to 45 miles high. And there's a picture of it back here, and that's on Saturn. This is a list of hurricane activities. There's stuff going on, y'all. And this thing is big. It has nothing to do with whose religion, faith, tradition. There were the last few hurricanes. The last few hurricanes was Emily 2005. A matter of fact, Isabel 165 miles an hour. Ivan 165 miles an hour. Emily 160. Katrina 175. Rita 180. Wilma 185.
Man.
So the hurricanes are increasing.
Man.
What makes rain, hail, snow, and earthquake?
That's right.
This is what's up. So I just want to bring my brother up to close us out. Can you do it?
Yeah.
You can close us out.
Yeah.
Bring us on.
Well, we're starting off late, but I just want to get straight into it. I'm just going to speak a little bit on a topic that I had chose for myself, and it's called Scared to Death Leadership. I'm going right into the Bible, and I'm going into John chapter 13. And it says, now before the feast of Passover, when Jesus knew that his hour had come, that he should depart from this world to the Father, having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. And supper being ended, the devil, having already put into the heart of Judas, Simon's son, to betray him. And I want to go down because after that it talks about how Jesus washed his disciples' feet, and the washing of the disciples' feet was an example for them to do to others, which is a sign of humility. But then I wanted to go into verse 27. It says, now, this is when Jesus had mentioned someone's going to betray him. He knew it intuitively. And in verse 27, now after the piece of bread, Satan entered him, and Jesus said to him, what you do, do quickly. And he was talking to Judas. And the point I want to make when it comes to scared to death leadership is right here in chapter 13 in the beginning was after supper. You know, and you know, after supper, if you know us, you know our people, you know what I'm saying, you know us, after supper, you know, we all relaxed and everything, or all like this, and you know, after supper. But because the physical food caused the body to be relaxed, and then you're susceptible. You're susceptible to whatever subliminal powers or whatever, because you're relaxed. You're relaxed. And if you're hungry, you know, because I know from fasting, I'm alert. I'm more on top of things when I'm fasting, and I'm more alert on things. You know, and I'm sensitive to outside forces and things. But when you know, after supper, you kind of lean back, you know, like, you know, you was kind of, you know, Al Bundy thing, you know, you all got the TV, you know. And it mentions how Satan, it says the devil, having already put into the heart of Judas. And my understanding of this is not the physical heart. It's talking about the heart, you know. And before Judas actually betrayed Jesus, it had to come through a thought form. It had to come into thought first, because it says the thought is the cause of it all. It had to come into a thought consciousness and then manifest into physical consciousness. And it's so strange, when I read this, I picked up, I said, well, it says the devil having already put into the heart. And then again in verse 27, now after the piece of bread, eaten again, you know, Satan entered. So I said, well, you know, you got the devil here and then Satan here. So that means that the devil is one characteristic and Satan is another characteristic. Because the devil first went into his heart, since those negative thoughts, entering in, lingering, you know, just swimming all up in there. Then after Judas was exposed, after he was exposed, Satan entered, which is actually the physical action of the betrayal, you know. And this is how our leadership is. We have leadership that they desire to get elected, but with a negative thought in mind. And it's not for the people. It's for property, prestige, money, but it's not for that genuine assistance of your brethren. So we have leadership in this, I don't need to say no names, but you got people that pimp Jesus. People that pimp Muhammad. You got people that pimp Farrakhan, pimp Elijah Muhammad. You got people that just pimp. But they don't help the people develop the inner leader in themselves. Because that means that the money flow won't come. That's why they call it currency, because it's a current. You know, that money flow won't come. If you wake them up to the knowledge of who they are, and then they realize, well, shoot, I am a Christ. I am a Jesus. You know, and for women, they are a Mary. Because it was saying that Mary was honored above all the women of the earth. So once our women start understanding that they are honored above all the women of the earth, God Almighty, you know, that's some real heavy stuff that make you want to go out there and do some real powerful stuff. You know what I mean? That make you really go out, you know, and do some powerful things. But I wanted to get into this chapter because it's chapter 13, which is, the number 13 is actually, we were told it's a bad luck number. But the number 13 is actually a spiritual number Even the word tetragrammaton has 13 letters. And you have 13 on the back of the dollar bill. The number 13 is all up on there. So we've been taught the number 13 is actually a negative number, but according to numerology, 1 and 3 represents a 4, which is a square. And according to numerology, the number 4 is a hard worker. The number 4 in numerology, that is a person who is a hard worker, you know. And here in John chapter 13, Jesus knowing, because this was the time around the Passover. So just imagine, like, shopping spree. There's all kinds of trafficking going on, because this is the Passover. Everybody's getting ready to get their food, you know. So having realized someone's going to betray you takes a lot of patience and tolerance not to expose them so quickly. You just wait until they expose themselves, or you wait to a certain time, and then you know, it was all about timing right now. Because the master could have exposed this cat. I'm just going to straight up. He could have exposed the dude early, but he had to wait till he got to a certain point, and then it said, whatever you do, do it quickly. Well, in the street, we say, well, yo, whatever you're going to do, yo, you better make it happen. Otherwise, you know, if you do me, you better do it quick. You know, because what happens is, in leadership, sometimes the devil comes into our leaders in their thoughts and in their agenda when they get elected. And it may not even be the leadership on a political level. You know what I mean? It can be the leadership that lies within you, your own thought patterns that come in. And some of your thought patterns want to take over. You know, and then you got to say, oh, wait, stop. You know, because what happens is there's a lot of imbalance in ourselves right now. A lot of imbalance going on because there's so much stuff happening. So many things happening, you know. And then having entered into the heart of Judah can, I'm not, you know, everyone has their own understanding, but it can represent how negative thoughts come right into the mind and stays there. And if you're not well versed enough in meditation, in spiritual cleansing, or recognizing that thought, some people think that negative thoughts are actually normal. You know what I mean? I mean, some real negative thoughts, you know what I mean, are actually normal because we've been taught evil is good and good is evil. And that's why we have rejected the truth. But Judas here represents someone that walked right with the master. You know, he was his advisor. He was an accountant, actually. Judas was an accountant. So he dealt with money. So if he dealt with money, he was an analytical person. You know what I'm saying? And how we get too analytical with things. You know, whereas we get a negative thought, we want to analyze it. You can't analyze a negative thought too long, because you will analyze yourself right on into some negativity. So sometimes we play with those negative thoughts and we analyze it too much, you know, and instead we forget righteousness. We forget that the whole purpose of being a leader is for the people, for those less than you, you know. And a lot of our politicians today, you know, I mean, I gotta say it, it's sad. But we have actually been under a ghost spell. Not the gospel, the ghost spell. Because they've been sounding good and the, you know, the camera pose and, you know, and, you know, and we fall for it every time. We have been put asleep. Satan, or the devil, has entered into our hearts. And we've been put asleep because sometimes we've been fed a whole bunch of stuff that has put our people to sleep. And while we sleep, a force has come and took over. So we will elect officials that appear to be on our side because they walk with us, they talk with us, they sound good, but deep down inside their motive is for some advantageous reason. And it's not for the benefit of the community. And if you look at some of our city council people, if you look at other city council people in other states, I mean, if you just look at Louisiana, Mississippi, if you just look at the hurricane, you know, and the leadership that was the leadership role that was done back then, someone has played a trick on us. And we are falling always for the game plan. We're falling for it, you know. But once the leadership is exposed, Satan comes in. And Satan is a deceiver. So here, even just looking at New Orleans, the leadership didn't want to even prepare before it went into a category 4 or 5 or 3. They didn't even, there was no preparation. Why? Because the devil entered into the heart of this particular leadership, and they already had a plan laid out because they knew that category storm was not going to do anything for the city. The city would be gone. They knew it. That's why they didn't prepare ahead of time. Because in this city, matter of fact, like I said before, New Orleans was the #1 murder capital last year. #1. You know what I mean? So just by the leadership not desiring to save the people, watching it on television, seeing for what it is, and the television only gave a portion. It was worse than the television. From my reports for people that came back up here, you know, it was 10 times as worse. So when you have people right there coming out of the projects, because the projects never seem to get hit by the storms for some reason, you know, God got this protective hand over the projects. They came out on the freeway and there was no one to help these people. And these were poor whites, poor blacks, poor Hispanics. You know what I'm saying? So there wasn't just a black thing. You know, they was using that. But it was just the powers that existed that had the ability to assist did not assist. So their leadership was definitely not for the benefit of saving lives. It was a land grab, and it is a land grab. Because if I can allow, matter of fact, they did not get the water out, they actually poured water back into the city. That's what they did. That's why the delay was longer. Because they poured water into the city. Not extracted, they poured it back into the city. And it's a land grab. Because the federal funds that's going to come is going to come to those who are already in the city. Going in the city. So the money won't go to them. So they're going to launder the money to other different leadership. This is why the mayor's not gone. The mayor hasn't been fired. The mayor's not gone. He's still there. A lot of city officials are there. You know, and the money that's going to go in, like the empowerment zone, those houses that are in the empowerment zone, if you know the proper channels and proper paperwork, you can get some of that money. But if you don't know the proper channels and the proper paperwork and who to talk to get that money, then you in the blind. You know, so the leadership on that level has failed, always, consistently failed us. Now the gas prices are up. There is no shortage of oil. There is none. I can say that because if you look, there was no talk of a shortage of oil way before this. It was until right after that, right during the hurricane is when they started raising the prices of the gas. But that's why they wanted to
assassinate Mr. Chavez, the president of Venezuela. And he looked like a brother I know over there on Broadway at Fells Point. You know, he sure do look like Flacco, you know. But the thing is that those who have the oil make the rules. So there's and I remember saying it last week, if you get on the internet and you type up the War Powers Act, Emergency Powers Act, and Trading with the Enemy Act, when there is war, when there is a state of emergency, the President of the United States can do whatever he pleases. He can seize property, he can seize assets, he can regulate travel. It's in there. It's like Prego, right on the internet. The President can regulate travel, he can regulate the franchises of business, and now we are in a state of emergency, but we've been in a state of emergency since 1933. When Franklin Delano Roosevelt came with his New Deal, because America went bankrupt in 1933, and that's when they took the gold and silver and replaced it with the Federal Reserve note. Monopoly money. That's what we're using. Monopoly money. So the leadership that has failed the people have also an accountability that they must have to. They have to have accountability. And it's coming. Because the people are not as asleep as they were when there was a flood in 1927 down there, and I think in 69 there was another flood. The people today are more awakened now. So whatever leadership in the federal, state, and local, they have to have some accountability that's coming down the pipe. Because this hurricane is actually, it is part of the judgment. You know, I don't, ooh, that's spooky, spooky. No, this is real. New Orleans was the murder capital last year. Everything went on in New Orleans. Everything you can imagine goes on down in New Orleans. You know, and this hurricane went straight up in the pocket. Straight up. It didn't turn, it didn't swerve, it went straight up into it. You know, now that death has entered into America, now if we don't, how they have they practice martial law down there, they are actually pulling people out of their homes. They took an older woman, an elderly woman, and took her out of her home. And they brought those from Iraq who are already programmed militaristically, war, they already are conditioned for killing. Why not bring them back home so they can seal the city up? And that's what's happening now. The leadership within us, we have to come to a greater understanding of what's going on. Because every one of us have leadership capabilities, leadership qualities. But if I feed you supper time, if I feed you false information, if I feed you information that is going to dull your senses, if I put in your foods chemicals that is going to dull your senses, if I put and change the literature in the school system, that's going to dull your system. You know, and it's so amazing. I met so many people when I used to work at Morgan. I met so many people, so many professors, you know, with this degree and the PhD and tenure track. I mean, the bottom line, and had no idea of the strength within themselves. All they knew was the programming tool that they went through in college. Well, college is a wonderful thing, don't get me wrong. But you have to have some knowledge of yourself before you go into college. And this is what is not being done with our children. What is not being done with our children, we are not teaching them the knowledge of who they are. I'm not talking about religion. Let's just move religion out the way. Teaching them self-esteemable things about themselves. You know, my nephew today went to go take his driver's test, right? So he said, "Uncle, wish me luck." Wish you luck? I said, man, I know you're going to pass that. I said, you the man. You're going to pass that thing. And that's the exact way I gave it to him when he left out the door. You know, little things through our language of how we talk to our children can help their inner leader come on out. You know, and this is what's happening. Every one of us have this trigger mechanism, you know, that we remove the television from our children. And we remove the video game from our children. I think we talked about that last time, was our children go through withdrawals. What you doing? I ain't got nothing to do. I'm bored. And then they want to eat. Then they'll go in the refrigerator, open the refrigerator, close the refrigerator. Go in the refrigerator, open the refrigerator, close the refrigerator. Go back upstairs. Come down again, open up the refrigerator, close the refrigerator. What's wrong? I'm bored. But then when you try to introduce them to creative ideas, poetry, drawing, sketching, other things, you know, rather than download hip-hop music from the internet, well, why don't you look up some things on the internet? They don't want to do that. And that is because the leadership that lies within their own spirit or soul has been numbed or medicated because of outside forces and devices, and it's for a reason. Because, see, this is the time, and I'm going to say this, I'm about to close, this is the time where I talk to a lot of people about this, but you know, Brother Parks Bay is whacked out. You know it, right? Okay, I'm whacked out. All right. Our bodies are going through a cellular change. And because we are in a time of the Aquarian age, we are in it, our thoughts are going to be traveling to each other. Where we pick up the phone and you picked up the and somebody was on the line, Ma, that you? Ma, I was just about to call you. Where you thought to call someone and then they called you. And you say, Dad, I just thought about calling you. So right now what's happening with us is that we are starting to connect genetically. Consciously, we're starting to connect with each other where we're thinking, you know, you would think something in just a nanosecond, and I'm doing the same thing. Because this is the time where right now, in out what they call outer space, you know, way out there in outer space, there is a planetary alignment that has been happening, and it's happening over and over again, planetary alignment. And as above, so below. That is the symbol of this ring. It's not David. It is a triangle going upward and a triangle going downward, which represents as above, so below. So what's going on is we are starting to chemically align ourselves with the coming of this thing called Christ, which is actually, we had to name it, but it's actually a force, a cosmic force that's going to line us back up to the way we were. Now you have leadership that know this. So they poison the water, poison the food, chemicalize the food, they poison the air. Houses now have central air. You know, almost every building has central air. And you have to change the filter. So there's all types of vices and devices hitting us on our five senses. Because if we just go up into the Himalayan mountains and we start to tune in, and we don't have those impurities attacking us on a regular basis, we'll start to align ourselves more spiritually. And they know this. This is why they have to come with these video games for the children. The shoot 'em up, bang bang movies all the time. The Four Brothers. Someone was watching the Four Brothers in the house, and I didn't even want to watch it. Because the shoot 'em up bang bang movies are starting to irritate me. You know what I mean? And this is what's going on, is that the leadership that is in place now knows, our leadership in the so-called black community knows the leadership that is above them are the ones, the puppeteers, who are orchestrating it. Yet they will not and are scared to death to step to the plate. I went to a town hall meeting with Warren Brown and Jill Carter, who was a councilwoman. You know what I mean? And I'm going to vote for Jill Carter. I'm going to vote for Jill Carter. You know, I may not know her, but someone who is willing to have a town hall meeting, you know, in West Baltimore. And as I'm starting to see, women will step to the plate more than the brothers.
Amen.
You know, you know what I'm saying? Can I get an amen again? I know that's right. Well, all right. Women step more to the plate than the man. Why? Because it says that in Exodus that they were going to kill the male and spare the female. Now, we had a little study session before I started. Let's look at it another way. Let us deal wisely with them. Let's destroy the masculinity in the male and leave your sexual preferences is your sexual preferences. But the nature of things is there is natural order. Red ants do not hang out with black ants. Sorry. You know, dolphins and sharks do not chill out together unless they're chasing after some, I forgot what they call these little fishes, sardines. Okay, that's the only time over the coast of Africa every year sardines make their little way for their breeding, and sharks, dolphins, and seals all attack. That, thank God for, you know, the History Channel and you know, and what do you call that? Not Animal Planet, you know. But that's the only time that you would ever see a shark and a dolphin together. But the sharks stay below, while the dolphins stay above. They still have a law in place. So if I remove the masculinity out of the male, not the man, because man means mind, if I remove his masculinity, his desire to build, his desire to take a stronghold grip of his community, a desire to be a responsible father or baby dad. You know, if I take that masculinity out of the male, knowing that the male has an X and Y chromosome that has been designed by the force of the God. Now, if I could play on that and convince this masculine species to convince himself to do it, I ain't got to worry about it. He did it himself. So I'm dealing wisely with him. I'm dealing with a mental program that's going to convince you to destroy the leadership in you. Now, if I fagotize the man and I set up a clothing line where his pants is down his butthole and his underwear, and his clothes are so baggy and loose, and now the young people are growing their hair, the boys are growing their hair out, wow. Okay, I got that in place. Now if I take the female, and I cause the male to lose his leadership abilities and qualities and that strength and being a head of himself. Because truly the woman is one of the heads of the family, but man sometimes we lose it. So she has to take over. And now that we have a lot of single parents, now we have young ladies who have been abandoned, whether it's from their or whether it's from other males in their life. Now they have to be single mothers, and they have to take the place of the male, knowing human nature. Remember, it begins with the thought process. If a single mother has in her mind that she has to play daddy and mommy, that thought of playing daddy starts to work on her physical composition. And now we see women that look masculine. From the foods that they eat to the thought patterns in their minds. They have to be the mother and the father. So then they start taking on the physical compositions of a male and the attitudes of a male. I don't need a man, you know? And all of this is designed by the leadership that is already in place, that knows that we are about to come into a spiritual opening. And like they said, the trumpet is going to be called. And it's not, you know, I'm not no jazz club. I'm not up at the Haven with a trumpet. It's talking about a vibration, a sound, a vibration that is going to vibrate, not even on the planet, the whole universe is going to feel this vibratory wave. And if we are not mentally receptive, if we are asleep in our leadership quality, we're going to miss it. Because the plan now is to distract the people from tapping into their spiritual self. And I'm going to close with this. You have different faith traditions in the West here that tell you that you should not study astronomy, numerology, astrology. You should not study. These are devil-worshipping sciences. Yet those who actually program organized religion, they are the ones that are practicing these sciences, and it's a sort of a witchcraft on the common man. Now, the three wise men were following what? Astronomy. They were following a star. You know what I'm saying? Why three wise men? Why not four? You know, why 12 disciples? And Jesus representing the Son of Man. The 12 disciples represent the 12 zodiacs. You ever see that plate with the 12 signs and the sun in the middle? Well, those 12 zodiacs represents the 12 disciples, and Jesus is in the middle, the sun. He is the center. But it represented the mastering of the 12 zodiac signs. Now, we have a big job to do, but it has to begin within. We can't do it outwardly unless we get it within. And if the masculine side of me has been destroyed, then the only way for me to develop that is to get with men that possess it. But if I'm taught not to be around the strong male leadership and hang out with my boys, then I will never desire the masculine strength that I need to sustain myself. So if I can, and it says right here, it's just plain as day, it's just right here. If I destroy your identity first, and I punctify it, and then I make the conditions, whereas in the Constitution, the 13th Amendment, it says slavery or involuntary servitude shall not exist except for the punishment of a crime, shall not exist in the United States of America. Now, we want freedom, democracy, and everything, but we have the most prisoners on the planet. And it doesn't make no sense. But if I'm going to spare the female and destroy the male, it says right here in the first chapter of Exodus, it says the last verse, verse 22, the last verse. So Pharaoh commanded all his people, Pharaoh commanded all his people, saying, every son who is born you shall cast into the river, and ever you shall save, you shall save alive. What does that mean? When you used to get locked, when people used to get locked up, what they used to say, you going? Up the river. Okay, let's do up the river, cast into the river. It don't mean that they killed them and drowned them. They imprisoned them and left our women out here to bear the burden, because the ultimate the authority that wants to be in place is government. Government wants to be the man. That's why when you get public assistance, you can't have the man present in the home. The man cannot be in the home if you're getting money from the government. That's the whole game. So our young men out there have been destroyed. Their leadership has been destroyed. The desire for them to be men. That's why they can call women the B word. If you don't give him no rap. Well, mess you be. And they lost that. Our young ladies have lost the femininity. They forgot they forgot even the way they wear their clothing. They forgot the feminine nature that's just genetically there. You can't alter the nature of truth. There's no way, And this is just a part of what I want to speak on with scared to death leadership. It's not just the leadership outwardly. Those leaders they deal with politics or a parlor of tricks. They are going to be dealt with because their own karma is going to catch up with them. And this is why here in the Western Hemisphere, they don't want us to study books on Buddhism, Hinduism, spirituality, because they want us in place. They want us stuck, because these particular faith traditions deal with your soul, they deal with karmic